Hello there, I'm going to be doing a custom challenge, which is a seed that a frustrated Reddit user was having trouble with. I'm going to try to explain my decisions and see if those help get past the hurdle. So let's give it a go. Okay. So we're against the patient. The very first thing you should look at is what Seraph you're fighting and plan the whole run based on it, but especially versus the patient. The patient requires you to make deck building decisions from the very first ring in order to have a chance at defeating it. So what is the patient? Well, the patient has kind of two major effects. One is whenever you cast a spell in the same lane as the patient, it gets stronger, which makes the whole fight harder. So you want to try to set yourself up in a position where you don't have to do that as much as possible. And the second thing it does is it just will attack early. So you want to be able to take a hit. And the third thing it does is whenever you play a unit in a lane, it gets stronger. So you don't want to be playing units over and over again in the same lane as Seraph. So that's just some things to keep in mind. We also can look at the other bosses here. We have Daedalus and Fel. Those are versions of Daedalus and Fel that you don't really have to plan for. This one requires a little bit more damage than normal, and then this one just has bombs that you're not going to be able to kill as easily, so extra 10 damage will be flying around. So yeah, those are the things to keep in mind. Let's look at the artifacts. Okay, Jack Strips, pretty strong. Against Seraph the Patient, there are units that have 3 health, so this will kill them unless they spawn on the top floor, so that's pretty good. Okay, so we have 2 versions of the Sentient here. My preferred one is Explosive. It does so much damage. They'll make all the fights up to ring 8 much easier. Cultivating, I honestly don't think it's a great choice at high difficulties. I've had other people that have had other experiences, but that's just mine. Especially against Seraph the Patient, where you're trying to limit how many cards you play a turn on the turns that Seraph is there. So I'm going to take this Explosive. It's just really strong. You can use your Explorers or Restores to explode and do a lot of damage. Okay, with the Explosive Sentient specifically, this is pretty, and you have 2 Stings and 2 Tumbra Assaults. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards that can deal with this, and also Ensnare kind of helps too. So I'm going to take this trial, some early money. So I just set up on top here, as you should default do. So that kills 2 people just with the Restore, because the trigger at the end of the round also does. That kills the other one. So might as well set up a Train Steward here. And I don't really care about the damage shield so much, so I'm going to get more health because I'm going to heal it up, hopefully. Get this out of here. Okay, we got a little lucky in that we can get the Collector. And get some more health here. And because our deck isn't really good yet, there's a chance we won't be able to kill this guy. So we won't be able to target those back guys. So I'm going to hit the root here to split them up. Oh, I forgot about Jack Strips. There was no need for that, but we still get to draw more cards now. And I'm gonna just kind of max my regen stacks so that I'm prepared for the boss. This guy really has no chance of surviving against 2 hits here, unless I get crazy morsels. So I'm not going to worry about protecting him. Again, I forgot about jackstrips. But yeah, again, I think keeping this lane alive is the most important thing. So I'm going to actually kill off those morsels so I have more options. Same thing here. So now I have 2 morsels. This guy gets a couple hits in. So he's doing 33 damage. There we go. We have that's what I like to call a perfect first fight. We got the collector and didn't take any fire damage. Okay, Glimmer's pretty strong. It does trigger the sentience ability, and it's some backline clears, which means we can maybe get rid of. Well, we don't. We have these. These are still pretty good, so I don't know if we'd get rid of them. But I like to take one AoE. Now here's a tough choice. Perils of Production is great if you can get it on holdover. The downside of that being that if we do that, then we're going to have less regen, which is not a great thing. But with this pairing specifically, the Sentient's a great tank, but it doesn't do there's no great backliner, is what I should say. I'm gonna skip. I want to kind of keep my deck trim as much as possible. So here, there's a couple of options, and people will have a different approach here. But to deal with the patient, I'd say with this clan combination, there's kind of two things you can try to do. One is you can get damage shields, and there are Umbra units that can handle that. So mainly there's the Crucible Warden, whose effect is whenever it gorges, it gets a damage shield. So I could go looking for that, and then have that be my main way of killing Seraph the Patient. Or I could go for just a high health unit that I can give Endless. And Awoken has kind of better units for that. So I'm going to go for that. I like going to the Merchant of Magic as well before this Cavern, so that I can discount spells, and there's some Cavern effects that are better if you have upgraded spells. So I'm going to do that. Let's look at the Merchant here. Holdover, okay, so I'm not sure that we have the best holdover targets, but something to keep in mind. Okay, so these are not the high health units I was thinking of, but we have the Shattered Shell. It's not a bad DPS unit, except for the fact that we have Jackstrips. Because we have Jackstrips, it's not going to get as many kills, so it's probably not that good actually. So I'm going to skip here and be a little picky with my targets. I'll discount a Restore. And again, because of Jackstrips, I think this is less useful. So I'm going to just make it really good for one time use. And I'm actually going to put Holdover on this Restore, because of how good it is with the Sentient. And then finally I'm going, so I have a choice here. I'm going to actually put 10 damage on Glimmer. I was planning on discounting restore, but 10 damage on Glimmer makes it so good. Okay, we could use the unit, so I'm gonna take this. I think we can handle the Triumph pretty easily. Okay, so Train Stewards are not gonna last very long versus the boss, so I'm gonna actually not. I'm gonna save this room for morsels and set up. Damage shield isn't that good on Sentient. I'm looking for like damage boosts here. And I want to get regen stacks on the Sentient. Okay, there we go. Finally some regen. And then I'm going to root this guy because then he doesn't come up. Oops. Okay, we know we'll get some regen here. There we go. That's enough to kill the boss. Sharpen, Razor Sharp Edge. Okay. I think Razor Sharp Edge might be worth it because we are lacking damage and we could use some damage. Space Prism is something I always like to see. Okay, so here we go. We have Wilting Sapwood. Thorned Hollow, and Morsel Maker. So this almost meets the threshold of getting that high health secondary unit that I was talking about to kind of give Endless and put in another floor. The problem is it does cost 2 Ember, which is a lot. So I'm going to look at the map and see what other choices we're going to get. We have an Awoken Banner over here. I'm going to be a little pickier. I'm going to take this Morsel Maker, kind of buff my champion up a bit. I'm going to look for another Awoken Banner here. Okay, so we have Animus of Will is pretty good. Target for Razor Sharp Edge. Yeah, I think maybe that's worth going after. Right now it's pretty bad, but it'll be good eventually. So I'm going to duplicate this restore. So the reason I picked up this Morsel Maker is mainly these health units. So I'm concerned about my champion staying alive on turns that I'm not playing these restores. These are interesting ways to just do crazy things, but I don't think that's what we're looking for right now. So I'm going to skip. Okay, unfortunately we have a small top floor, which means unless we get lucky, we're not going to be able to set up our Morsel Maker up there. So I'm just kind of building up my restores here. These will be a little better once I have a smaller deck. There's my space prison. There we go. Oops. Okay, so didn't get through my deck till the very end. It didn't help I had pulled over cards. Made me get through my deck slower, but I also need to cut a lot of cards from my deck, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to skip these. I already have plenty of regen, and the problem with spreading spores combined with the sentient is it doesn't actually trigger this effect. It's only providing a regen, whereas restores actually trigger this effect. So I'm going to skip that. There we go. Husk Hermit is kind of what I was looking for. It has a large amount of health, and we can set it up on a different floor than our main floor, so that Seraph gives it melee weakness instead of our champion, which is going to give us a little bit of relief. So I'm going to pick this up and give it some health and give it endless, hopefully. Those are goals, not guarantees. I think I want to get some card removes here. There's a lot of cards that are basically dead weights in our deck right now. So I'm going to remove the Train Stewards. Continuing down this explosive path, there's just so much damage. Card draw is good, but I think getting the more damage here is pretty important. I don't think we need to worry about spells doing damage here. They're not going to do relevant damage anyway. These guys have 35 health, and our biggest hitting spell does 12 damage, so that's kind of irrelevant, I think. Good thing is one restore will kill these. And here's the setup I was kind of thinking of here. And I would love to play this route, but I want these guys to not combine with the next floor. So I'm going to set up down here. Damage is kind of irrelevant again, but this guy's kind of planning for the future anyway. See, it's 2 restores here, kills, and then 3 will kill here. I'm gonna, I don't know, I guess I'll still play restore, just trying to get max regen here. And as I can, I'm playing out other cards so I get even more regen. Now, the downside of setting up on the top floor here is I will take more damage from the boss, but I feel like I can handle it. Yeah, pretty good fight. These don't really solve any of our problems. Right now, we're doing adequate damage, and we just need to be able to survive, and these don't help with that. Gravel could be okay, but I'm trying to think of if it's worth it. It will keep my we'll keep the Husk Hermit alive longer. I think maybe it's worth the pickup, and then we can replace Shade Splitters. It's basically replacing Shade Splitters. That's what I'm trying to say. We have a good amount of money, so I'm gonna look for artifacts. I think Winged Indulgence could be good. Shade Lamp is a little trickier. What that would do, I mean, I could play it on other floors. I think that might be decent. I'm gonna play Shade Lamp. This is a lot of chump blocking. Because morsels it can be morsels. So I'm gonna get rid of Train Stored. Again, I feel like we have a pretty strong deck to handle these types of trials, so I think taking more trials to prepare for the final area is a good idea. So because of jack strips, I'm going to set up on the second floor. So first thing I play each turn gets 2 damage shields, so let's block that damage. We have so many morsels. I want to just I don't know, get rid of stuff here. Kind of want this tank out of the way. Just buffing this guy up. Time to make this guy do more. And we are gonna play this. Chump block. Okay, so just keeping my regen up. I forgot this is an AoE boss, so kind of relying on my champ here and this guy to do most of the damage. What I will do is get more morsels. So lifesteal here is going to do a lot, I think. And then every time this guy attacks, he uses up a lifesteal stack. So that'll, even these morsels will use up lifesteal. So yeah, because I've been giving morsels to this guy, he's gonna do half the damage. So mainly regen is what's keeping me alive here. So right now this guy's attacking once. This doesn't change that, so it's some 10 extra damage. Currently we don't have any spikes, and money is precious, a precious resource. I don't think I would pick up spikes because of jack strips, so I think this is 25 gold is more valuable than this artifact. Right now our regen is a little low, so I think maybe pick this up and make it better with spells, and none of these seem to make sense to me. We already have plenty of morsel generation. So we kind of need to go both areas here, but I want to get some unit upgrades. Mainly this Animus of Will needs some health. Husk Hermit needs some health. I'm going to do the Animus of Will first. And give it some damage. Now it's actually helpful without needing my buffs. I like the idea of giving this guy damage shield 3 because my goal is to give it endless, but that's only if I get endless. Otherwise I want it to have health, so it's a tough call. I'm gonna give it damage shield 3. I can block with morsels. That's one way to keep it alive. Let's remove a train story. Yeah, I'm gonna save a slot for endless there. We have full fire health. I'm just gonna give up fire health for an artifact. 7 on the first turn of battle. Okay, so we do have more than 3 Ember worth of units, and we could draw multiple units on a turn, so I think it's very important that we have enough Ember to play everything. Okay. So again, Jack Strips Reasons, gonna set this guy up here. And I think damage shields don't really make sense in my champion. Put you here. Life steal over here. Let's block. And I like morsels. Okay. Space Prism doesn't really make sense here because starting next turn we're going to have an extra 2 slots taken up by morsels, so we'll do it here. Chump blocking. Okay. We might as well put some damage shields there. Just sort of keep this guy going. He's doing an okay amount of damage. I'm wondering if I should put the Morsel Maker down there instead next time. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. Okay, just keeping my regen going here. Not quite enough. This guy's not doing much damage now, but I think he helps clear the waves a bit. There we go. Okay, Furnace Tap is something I think we don't need. We have enough damage to clear the waves, and my goal is to get to the point where we have enough regen to last in Relentless. If we are careful about how much we incant. So this would mean we have no Ember, and I don't love that idea. So I'm going to take Quick though, give it to the Husk Hermit and mitigate some damage. And I think still taking Draw is important to get to those important cards quickly. And we have enough for an artifact. We also have a large amount of cards that would be helpful to remove, I'd say, Ensnare, Tebra Assault, and some Shade Splitters. But I do want to go to the Merchant of Steel to look for Endless. I don't think we need Quick. Okay, Endless here means that it's going to be an excellent distraction. So let's look at. I think I'm going to go with the Merchant of Magic, so I'm not going to be visiting this Merchant of Steel again. And I don't really want a card taking up my deck right now, so I'm gonna just take this one thing that doesn't require you to do anything. And I'm gonna take the higher health option and more damage. Okay, so this is actually a pretty scary trial to take. These Wiltwings will spawn, and if I happen to draw a bunch of Shade Splitters, then they're just going to make it to the pyre. But I think we can handle it. Yeah, this guy won't survive, so I'm going to send him up to the top. Just gonna let these guys die, it's fine. guy might die right now, but he's not needed for this fight. He's fine. And he is endless, I forgot. Some damage out there. And we're doing just fine. Okay, so our goal is to get as much regen as possible, while being able to stay alive, when while doing as few incanting as possible. And none of these help with that goal, so I'm gonna skip these and skip these for the same reason. They're not helping our goals, so they would just hurt us to take it. So in keeping with the goal, I'm gonna try to remove cards that don't help us and make regen easier to get. Let's look at the trinkets. We have stings, do extra damage. We don't have any stings. We do have stings, but we don't need that damage. Mind jacks could be okay, but let's make regen a little more consistent here. By discounting spells that give it. And I think we're good with spell upgrades now, so I'm going to start removing things that are not that helpful. Starting with this Ensnare and this Entumbra Assault. Right now we have ways to kill 3 health things, so I kind of want to just move this out of the deck. Kind of like Mind Jacks for the floor that the Husk Hermit sits set up on. We could have put a bunch of morsels there. And then over here, Magic Power I don't think is relevant. Root Split Mask. We have Pyre Health to spare, they can just leave. So I think just removing cards is more helpful, so I'm going to remove a Shade Splitter and a Shade Splitter. We do like morsels in this fight because they can block damage, but we have Shade Lamp and we have Grovel, which are kind of better sources of morsels, so I'm going to remove another one. Stings also have a problem in that they don't do much, but they let you draw more cards, so they kind of replace themselves. So let's see how we do. Okay, again, very important to keep note of melee weakness, rally, incant. So we want to limit as rallying and incanting as much as we can. Now turn 1 is we're probably going to have to rally if we are unlucky. Yeah, so there's not much we can do about it. We're going to want to rally, but now we don't have to anymore. So I'm setting up a bunch of morsels here as kind of distractions. Now this is where we want to go crazy. So we want to incant as much as possible on the other floors. So I got 6 regen, which is kind of nice. Okay, so he's not in the middle floor, so we're gonna go a little crazy on the floors that he's not on. I'm gonna block this damage. Keep this guy alive as long as possible. His damage is not important whatsoever. Just him being a distraction for this guy. Okay, so now he's up here, so we don't want to incant at all. So now he's on the bottom, so we can do whatever we want. Give this guy quick. Everyone's dying there. He's not living yet. But morsels do block damage without triggering his rally. Okay, so now we don't have to worry about his visiting the floor at all. We can just get regen. We want to get up to like 30 regen. We're up to 22, so we're a little short, but that's okay. How we doing? Pretty close. They do the most high impact regen card here, and that's enough. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I do think I made a mistake on this fight. Like, I think I maybe did an extra incant or two to keep the House of Kermit alive when I could have just let it die, and because it's endless, but it worked out fine. So I haven't looked at your run, but I think maybe just incanting a bunch of times in the final fight is where a lot of people struggle with this boss specifically. But I hope this helps. Just one approach. I hope basically from ring 1, planned for the patient by looking for a high health unit that I could give endless, and that was the Husk Hermit. And then avoided taking cards that didn't help me towards the main obstacle of that fight, which is living through a lot of incoming damage. So the Morsel Maker was another pickup I took because I was worried about that incoming damage. So it provides passive health and damage without requiring incants. So just having a larger health pool on the sentient meant that it can last without requiring incants. And then I just kind of focused on these restores, so that I had a large amount of regen for Relentless, and did not cast spells on the floor when Seraph visited. And then I kind of removed everything else from my deck that wasn't helping me towards my goals. I took all the trials because it was a pretty strong deck. And as you can see, didn't take any damage at all until the final area. So I could afford to let stuff make it to the pyre. So I did let some things make it to the pyre here, and that was a purposeful decision because I could have killed them, but it would have meant Seraph did more damage. Yeah, so I hope that helps, and if it doesn't, I don't know. I'm just trying to. I know that it's hard to compare your runs to other people's runs when you make different decisions, but if you see enough of these decisions, hopefully it's helpful. So yeah, reach out if you have any questions. I'd love to do a joint run sometime if that would be something you'd want to do. Well, yeah. So I'll see if your other run is something I might want to do as well, and I'll talk to you later.